Okay.
All set?
Yeah.
All right. Well, welcome. Thanks for coming to the August ECC meeting.
Absolutely.
So a couple things on the agenda. I didn't print out the agenda. I don't know if you guys
That's
had
okay.
a chance to look at it.
Yes.
Kind of been printer available to them. So yeah. Everything's like that. So a couple things for the updates. As you heard probably that Frank is resigned. Unfortunately, he had to resign from the ECC because he's no longer a full-time resident. So therefore, the town needed a new chair for the ECC. And after some discussion, Renee, Kent and I volunteered to be the chair and co-chair of the as of starting this month. So
Yep.
I'm here. I'm here. Kent couldn't make it tonight. Yeah, she couldn't make it. A couple other people couldn't make it. If for some reason you can't make it to the meeting, just let us know. That way it's easier. Here now. Some new business. What I did is I looked at some of the other towns, conservation commissions or sustainability groups or whatever to see what they've done. And one of the other towns is real similar to ours. So yeah. So I was looking at some of the things that they did. And one of the things they have is they have a recording secretary position. I'm not sure exactly what that person does, but I think they might take minutes. So like the chair can kind of just direct things or whatever and then take minutes. So if everybody was here, I was going to ask if anybody wanted to volunteer to do that, but we can wait till the next meeting too to see if more people are around.
I can't read my handwriting.
Yeah, well, and I think what we do is if somebody volunteered to do it, is that person would take notes and then.
I think anybody can do it that night. They don't have to be that detailed.
Right, exactly.
Without making legal decisions
If
here.
we looked at Frank's stuff from previous, it was just pretty succinct and to the point of what his minutes were, so. Think about that. If anybody wants to volunteer, feel free, and if not, we'll talk about it at the next meeting too. With Frank's leaving too, that also opens up a vacancy. So if anybody has a recommendation of somebody they'd like to think would be a good fit for the ECC, maybe let me know, and then I'll collect the names and send them to Renee. I think she's the one that actually appoints somebody. I know when I joined, it actually says in ECC, I call it the charter. I'm not sure if that's official title, but it talks about I'll say diversity of views for the ECC. So some people might live in the north part of the county or the town. Some people live in the south part of the town. Some people might have different professions. Some people might have different ages. So that you have a little diversity. So everybody's not the same. Could be better person that thinks the same way only for my northern section of the town. So,
That'd be my question is based on everyone's professional life experience. Is there an area that we feel we don't have representation, whether it is from a technical standpoint or a regional town area?
I think it seems like I remember when we talked about when Kathy came on, and maybe you too, John, is I think from a geographical standpoint, I think we've got the town fairly well covered. If I remember right. Professions, I think we got a pretty variety of professions.
Yeah.
I'm retired. Does that count?
We won't hold it again.
But that's a good point though. So yeah, it's something to look at. If there's something that we don't have this.
Yeah.
Why,
There's not something glaring in my eyes as far as I know. I just
Right.
didn't know if someone else had been thinking about that area, like, oh, I wish we would have had
Right.
X, Y, and Z, but
Exactly.
no, from what I see, I don't think that there is a huge hole that we need to work to specifically fill.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Well, if you do have any names, let me know. Somebody had a name. Kathy was telling me that I can't remember the person's name or who had the name.
Okay.
Somebody does have one person that might be interested. So,
Okay.
if we have others, but talk about that again since Paul is not here and a couple others, so you might have to some names.
Yeah.
And the next thing I was going to talk about for new business is the town policy and video conferencing. I don't know if you had a chance to take a look at that or not. And I didn't. But I did attach it to the minutes. Yeah, so basically what it says, this is for the entire town too. We're just talking about the town's policy on video conferencing for like these meetings. So the town adopted a policy, August 1st. Which basically applies to all the commissions or the town boards, so it applies to us as well. And I'll just kind of go through it, basically. The numbers, but basically, all board commission members shall be physically present at public meetings unless such member is unable to do so for one of the reasons set forth in section 6 below. So basically, the intent is that you should be here unless you have one of the reasons in number 6.
Yeah.
You have to have a quorum of any public body in a location that's accessible to the public before other members can participate by video conferencing. So we need to have a quorum here before, like 5 of us couldn't be video conferencing, and we have 3 here. We really need to have 5 as our quorum. So you got 5 here to have a quorum.
Gotcha.
And then the other ones with video conference. You always have to have the video on, so you can't, be turn it off, turn on everything else. You need to be in a well-lit room, so you're clearly visible. Microphone can be heard, etc. And you got to use your real name. And if you do want to do video conference, let us know, either me or Kathy know 4 days in advance so that we can make sure we have the video stuff. Yeah, set up the video stuff basically. But I don't know how to do it, so.
Yeah.
So these are the reasons, the following justifications are acceptable reasons to participate by video conferencing. 1, illness. 2, caregiving and or family responsibilities. 3, disability. 4, out of town. Severe weather. Significant or unexpected event which precludes physical attendance or other circumstances is determined by the majority vote of the public body.
So it's pretty inclusive.
It is.
Open-ended.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, if you want to just stay home and watch TV, that's not a good
Yeah,
reason. Much already else. And one of the things that we have to identify is in the meeting minutes, who was participating via teleconference. So that's a big deal. And if somebody in the public body participates by video conference, then the public health is allowed to participate by video conference. And that's about it. So which is good.
Circling, you mentioned the minutes, because people have been mentioned who was in person and who was on video conference.
Yeah.
Do you think it'd be helpful? Because I don't think any of us have been professional administrative assistants before. If we had like a fillable PDF almost for the minutes. Veronica, do you know if there's a standard format for the town minutes between the different committees?
Not that I've seen. I mean, I think there's probably things that you have to include.
Right,
So
but the town doesn't have a specific format.
not that
That's
I'm aware of, but Nikki may know.
okay,
Yeah.
that might be helpful as far as
Yeah.
who does
In
minutes
our
of like.
case, they don't have to be terribly detailed, because like I said, we're not making any legal decisions.
Right. We usually just provide a
We
recommendation.
can absolutely say, he and I thought it was a great idea, you guys thought it was bad. That's about the short of it.
Yeah.
Right.
That would pass for the minutes.
Yeah, I do remember, reading Friends when he published them after our meetings, they were pretty short and short and sweet, so. Yeah. Okay, good. So that's all I have for new business. I didn't have anything from Renee to review or anything like that, so there's no other new business. Continuing business, Stan was here, I was gonna ask him, give an update on towers, we've got something on the towers, but he's not here, so that's fine. We'll table that till next time. The next thing I kind of wanted to talk about was kind of the majority of the meeting was talk about the I guess doing additional things besides just what Renee asked us from reviewing a subdivision or reviewing XYZ or whatever. So taking a look at the master plan and the ECC chart, and I guess I'll just go to the chart. I put the links in here too. But it says quite a bit about what the Environmental Conservation Commission, what we're supposed to do, our legislative intent and why we're doing it. Basically, is to preserve. It says the purpose really is the establishment of a commission for conservation of the environment is a necessary step in fostering unified action on environmental problems. So basically want to conserve the environment, that's what we're looking to do. Talks about the membership terms, the meetings and et cetera, et cetera. But some of the things it says, powers and duties, conduct studies, surveys, and inventories of natural and man-made features within the town of Pompey, and such other studies and surveys as may be necessary to carry out the general purposes of this chapter. I mentioned earlier that I looked at Lafayette's and what there is, and their e-codes, electronic codes, or whatever, the environmental codes are very similar to this. So I think maybe what I'll try to do is one meeting is have their chairman come in and kind of say how they meet some of these requirements too. It's looks to be very similar. Another duty is to maintain an up-to-date inventory of or index of all open spaces of public private ownership within the municipality, including but not limited to natural landmarks, glacial and other geomorphic plains, swamps, and marshlands, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Sounds like a pretty big task. I don't know if it's ever been done or not, but it sounded like a pretty big task.
Most of that's on a map.
Right.
Wetlands are labeled.
Well, exactly.
Elevations are labeled.
Exactly, yeah. Seek to coordinate, assist in unifying the efforts of private groups, institutions, and individuals. Maintain liaison communications with the public and private agencies. And one that we kind of do is advise the town planning board concerning features, plans, and programs relating to environmental improvement, or just advising the town board. And I think that's kind of what our charter has been for a long time is, when we get asked a question, we advise the town board. So, but it sounds like there's other things we can do. So as I was looking at, like on the agenda, a couple of things that I put down was maybe we can take a look. I mean, I have no idea what's here in the town, and maybe it's all nice in the file cabinet. I'm not really sure, but maybe inventory the town's environmental documents to see what exists, because it kind of fits in with the charters. Like you say, we have all that stuff is on maps, but are they here? And maybe they are, and maybe I just don't know. Maybe they're all tucked in a file cabinet someplace, and that's great. But if they're not, maybe that's something we can help organize or look what's there and what's missing. It's just a thought. We can, take a look then to see if those surveys or whatever natural features do exist. I think that's a pretty big task to take on, is to try to, develop that without outside assistance. But nevertheless, it's something we could take a look at, what would be required. It talked about communication, and I was thinking, one of the things we could do is maybe take a look at the town environmental webpage and see if there's anything we want to do to enhance that from an environmental perspective. Again, looking at some of the other towns nearby, they put things on, for example, invasive species or maybe dangerous species like giant hardwood, or poison ivy. What does it look like? And, maybe most people know, but maybe people don't, and wild parsnip and stuff, things that are bad. Things that you don't have to change every week. The hard part is we like to do something, but we want to make it such that it's not a full-time job for somebody to keep something up to date either.
Right.
But maybe there's things we can do to, put on there. I know there's information about the trash pickup is on the town website. Maybe there's tidbits we can put down on about recycling, or even just link to Oprah's website about recycling. How do I get rid of my old television? How do I get rid of X, Y, Z? And maybe, So anyhow, that's just a thought. And I had a town Earth Day tree giveaway. Frank used to do that. Maybe somebody would like to be the champion of that. So kind of what I was thinking is we could take a look at some of these things, and one person could champion one of them if they were interested. I don't want to force anybody to do anything, but if you were interested in the trees, or I was interested in the trees, I could champion that. If you were interested in the web page or whatever, you could take a look at that. If Greg, you were interested in certain things, you could take a look at something. Again, it's just kind of like trying to look at what the town has asked and seeing if we can pick some of those things up. Then, coming to the meetings for the last couple of years, sometimes there's not a lot of stuff that we have to look at.
Right.
So rather than just coming and just not doing anything, maybe somebody can champion something, say, oh, this is what I found out about X. What do you think I can do or something?
I mean, I definitely. I guess I would be interested, I feel capable because of past experiences with working with DSF and different media communication. I definitely would be open to looking into what our current website is offering. What other ECC websites typically offer and what would be. Kind of riding that line between what is useful for the public to see, but is also feasible for us to provide.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I.
And maintain.
Right,
Right.
right. So,
Those giant hogs, nobody cares about it in January.
right, right,
Yeah, yeah.
Take care about it, go, yeah,
right.
so.
So-
Once I plan it, then.
Yeah, so I am volunteering to
Okay.
take, at least take
Yes.
a brainstorming, formatting
Yeah.
list of things that we can go over for the website.
Great. Thanks. And I also put a link to the master plan, and I'll just go over a couple of things on that too, because it's, I've read it before when I first joined the group, I read the master plan, then you kind of forget things.
Oh,
You know,
I can't imagine why.
I think for the section that would apply to us, I'm like, all right, so it's like 3/4 of it.
Right, exactly, yeah, yeah. So,
Don't tell me it was light reading.
I know.
right. So I'm just gonna scroll and the links on there too. If you're interested in, can't sleep some nights. But it's under section 25, I think is what I want to look at, so. Hold on a second. And then this is where it talks about the maps too, and like you were saying, right?
There's bushels of maps in there with streams, watersheds and glacial features. Yeah. No, I applaud you if you read the whole thing.
Well, I couldn't say that I read the whole
Yeah,
thing.
I'd be impressed.
Yeah, I can't say that I read the whole thing word for word, but
I guess my biggest general thing after reading it was that it was last updated in 2005.
right, yeah,
So we're approaching 15 years-ish. And I just know, at least for some of the land cover and land use stuff, obviously a lot can change in 15 years, especially with development that's happening, percentages of residential use versus farming use versus vacancy,
yeah,
13 to 15 years it could be a lot different now. So,
yeah, yeah, exactly. I had, so, the strategy, that's what I was going to look at, there's different strategies. Like strategy 2 is sustainable forest. We will preserve the integrity of our forest. And one of the things is outcomes, planting trees on open land, particularly on steep slopes, will be encouraged. But that's kind of falls right in line with our tree giving rate. And, it's maybe we're not asking people to do a steep slope over giving away trees to people. So, one of the things we're doing fits right in with the strategy. 4 was environment and resources. And the outcomes, New York City DEC regulations regarding stormwater pollution prevention will be strictly followed. Private property owners will be encouraged to regularly check the quality of their well water. Water conservation measures will be defined and residents encouraged to implement them. I mean, that's something we can put on the website, water
Yeah.
conservation measures.
Right.
It's-
because I feel like a lot of the stuff listed there doesn't actually
yeah,
happen or, get implemented. So, yeah, I think that definitely provides even, a bullet list of just topics
some ideas and stuff, yeah.
to have on there.
A strategy 5 was alternative energy. The outcomes, the use of alternative energy sources such as wind, solar, geothermal, and cogeneration energy sources will be encouraged to reduce the cost of energy demand and carbon footprint of the town.
That's interesting. That's age.
Yeah, but isn't that interesting since we just have a lot of discussion on that pivot
Yeah.
solar energy project where our master plan actually encourages alternative energy.
Yeah, it's doors.
Oh, okay.
That or new legal names.
So, yeah, when I read that, I thought, oh, wow, that's kind of interesting. It's like, yeah, the master plan encourages solar.
Right.
For your town.
And out of my own ignorance, is the wind turbine moratorium still in place from years ago?
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know that. I just picked out a few highlights. There's
Very
other.
good question. Yeah, I got it. Most moratoriums, they put a deadline,
Right.
Right.
usually a year or less, but
I know it's been probably at least 5 years since that was put in place, so.
Yeah, community and hamlet development strategy. Basically to systematically build a sense of community among the residents to enable them to experience feelings of belonging and a commitment to work together to promote a sustainable, healthy and safe environment. Again, I think that's part of the web thing we can do to, maybe, I'm thinking that if we put things out there a little bit, maybe people will volunteer to help us do things. I don't know, but I mean, it's something like saying, I'd be happy to plant 500 trees on my steep slope. I don't know.
Yeah, right.
Whatever it may be.
Right.
In strategy 11, again, I just highlighted a few of them. Historical heritage. Basically, historical structures, cemeteries and archaeological sites preserved and protected. And I think a while ago, a year or so ago, Renee said that the Historical Society might want to help on something. And we never got to the point of seeing what that was, but I mean, we maybe can help the Historical Society too. And again, that fits great into the master plan. And there's other things in here too. I mean, there's commercial development. Some things, if there's commercial development, we might involve by being asked from the town board to review something. So that's a little different, but so, looking at this, I thought there might be ideas of ways we can, again, help, whether it's web communication or just somebody championing the tree planting thing. I can do that if other people aren't interested. Or inventory town stuff so that we know where to find stuff. And again, maybe it's all here. I don't know. I know Kathy was going to talk to Renee once about some stuff. So
Yeah,
he may have done some of that.
yeah, knowing what is here is obviously an important starting point, so.
It makes it easier so that if somebody has a question on X, we can say, oh, there's a stormwater plan for that, or there's already been wetland maps or something like that. Yeah.
Right.
So it'd be nice to, I don't want to say index those, but have an index them basically though, and have a table of contents. So they were, retrievable. Yeah, exactly. Right. So then, the next group that comes in some years from now, they can find those things. So yeah, those are some of my thoughts. And then I thought, one of the other things I talked about in the charter was communication with the community. And again, thinking the website can do a lot, asking the website to do a lot, but
No,
I looked at what Lafayette does, and then their meeting minutes, they have different action items they do. And they have an optimist club there, I think in Lafayette. We don't really have that. I think it's kind of like a
Rotary club type of.
right, like
Or
a
Lions Club.
where I think they partner and do things, whether it's making trails or whatever. But anyhow, they have a spreadsheet that, simple spreadsheet that says what the activity is, who's the champion basically, and what the status is. And whatever. So that'd be a good way to, I think, communicate with the town too, with the residents and say, no, we plan to do, rather than just having one communication, say in the month of April for the Earth Day, we could do it in our monthly updates or something like that. Say, well, we're planning this so that maybe it gets better attended next year.
Right, put on people's radar versus just the 2 weeks beforehand. just
Right,
putting that date around.
exactly. Yeah. And then, even talk about the tires, but people could bring their tires, people could bring their scrap metal. So,
Yeah.
And, that's one example. There's maybe other things that, again, I'm not sure what it is yet, but there might be other things that town residents might want to volunteer to help us do something. Beautiful.
I think too, and website, I have to go back to the website, you better.
All right.
It can be cool. So that's why,
Projects or the need of. We can get involved in that too, like if
Right.
somebody has done, just they have a, bare hill that we can plant stuff. The trees we got for Earth Day, we pay for those, do we buy those?
I think Frank bought it himself.
Gotcha. Okay, gotcha. I do the same nursery for stuff at school. I guess it's stuff, but not nothing to that extent where usually a lot. But things like that, if we hear from the community, if we could get involved in doing things. I think that's a big part of that, the action project that you're talking about. So
Right.
a lot of the stuff is Earth Day, expand on what we do there, get more people involved in that.
Yeah.
Word out out from the website. I think those two things are the starting point with this,
Yeah.
and then a lot of options from that, so.
The other things that I've seen people do, and actually it was my wife's hometown back here, Albany. And they, for whatever reason, I don't know if it was formally through the town government or if it was just more of like through school or whatever, but they actually had a lot of fun things. It was a little more kid and family oriented versus like highly educational. But like there was a 2-week period during the summer when the kids were home from school that was like her hometown was Westerlo. You know, find the big, send and submit your biggest tree, the biggest tree in Westerlo. Kids were measuring and they tag the address and, you know, send in a photo of the tape measure and everything. At the end of the week, someone would go verify and they won biggest tree, you know.
Yeah.
There was like they did a rare tree species. They were like, these are the real common ones, but these are ones that are more rare. Who has the most rare species on their property? So like every other month, there was like a little competition or topic or whatever that
Yeah.
townspeople could participate in. That wasn't a huge lift because it wasn't like you were planning a location or an event. It was people going out and doing things by like being given directions. They were doing it on their own.
Right.
But it got people to talk about it. There was something to post about. It got people looking at the physical world around them, you know, so.
Right.
Especially with this, the media, the social media now, you'll do something like that.
Yeah.
Kids will do that stuff up and-
Right.
Right. You know, you could do a tallest sunflower competition over the summer, you know, give out sunflower seeds.
Right.
And get people aware of what can be done in this, in the town here, so.
Right.
Right, and just to get people, I mean, too, it gets people engaged to work with the town, you know, and rather than just building someplace on Route 20, it's.
They show up when they're mad about something.
Right. Yeah, exactly, yeah, right, then, like, yeah, engage them a little bit to, yeah, no, that's a great idea, it's a great idea. I was thinking what you were saying too, Jan, about, expanding on Earth Day too, you know, or trees that planted on hillsides, or, you know, again, that's an area where somebody might just want a little help, how can somebody in the town might say, geez, I do have a hillside, how do I get 500 trees? Where do you get these trees?
Exactly.
Or, you know, maybe I'd like to help them mine our butterflies. Where do I get some pollinators?
Right.
You know, so maybe we can assist that way too, without actually buying it or doing it, but kind of support other people.
Just providing information.
Just providing information, right?
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
I love your tallest sunflower.
Yeah, that's
We got 2 in our yard. The birds drop the seeds and
Yeah.
they're up there.
Those are usually the biggest ones, are the ones that you didn't even. plant
Yeah,
yourself.
yeah. We've been mowing the lawnmower around. all summer.
Yeah.
Some of them are done, but something. That would be comical. I would love to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of really good, yeah. And you could even just like print off a little certificate. I mean,
Oh,
kids love
absolutely.
certificates, right?
Yep.
You know, it's a
The
big
dollar
deal.
store medal, you know,
Yeah,
right,
right.
just little things like that.
Official winner for the year 2020.
Yeah, right. That's right, yeah, no, that's
In the fall could be biggest pumpkin, like there's.
Bingo.
right.
Gets people outside, gets their hands in the dirt, thinking about the environment.
Thinking about the environment, exactly, yeah.
But announce the pumpkin one next March.
Right, so they wasn't going to start it, exactly.
Same sunflowers.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That's a good idea, yeah.
So that's what they did in Albany, and they got participation.
Oh, yeah, and there's
Okay.
all these old photos of, 8-year-olds, 10-year-olds,
That's how you
like,
get it. You start putting photos of
Your little kid next to the big
of your
pumpkin.
grandkid
Right.
doing something like that. Oh my God, Johnny, let's go do that this year.
Right.
That's what's gonna, yeah.
Yeah, bring that.
Exactly. The kids love the certificate, but
Yeah.
mom and dad and grandma and grandpa are gonna love the idea of.
right.
Yeah.
Starting something, it's
Get the
more
kid to water
purposeful,
it once a week or something.
Yeah.
Sure.
yes,
Well, you have a little vested interest there, when it's something your own
right.
versus somebody else's.
And if
Yeah.
kids are doing it, they're gonna tell their friends, and then they're gonna try,
Right.
they're gonna wanna compete over it, so.
Yeah.
I think it also would do a lot of self-advertising once it got out there a little
Definitely,
bit.
definitely. I like that idea. I really like that idea. Yeah, it's a way to engage the community.
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Not Technology. Does our town website have the ability for the public to post pictures?
So they would have to submit the photo.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, bring it up here.
Well, they could do it electronically from their phone. They can send it to the town's Facebook Messenger page.
Okay.
So they would message Town of Pompey on Facebook and say, they do a last name or an address. Here's so-and-so. Here's a picture. Our sunflowers 8.5 feet tall.
Mhm.
And so they would all be piled up in the Facebook Messenger inbox. And then whoever's managing Facebook page, is it you, Veronica? She can just pull them from the inbox and post them on the feed. And she can do it in batches, so it's not constantly, at the end of each week or, every other week. They can all say, these are our submissions this week and, so it can be done through the Facebook page. I know the town of
You're
Pompey.
saying yes?
Yeah,
Okay,
I mean,
because I don't know.
that
how
way,
all
or
this
people
stuff
can just email their photos and we can
Yeah.
add them that way.
I know Instagram is a little bit more popular with younger kids.
The Facebook is gonna be for the parents and older people.
Right.
But yeah, if you were right, but
So I know the town doesn't have an Instagram account, but I'm even aging myself there because I know people younger than me are more into TikTok than Instagram.
Yeah.
Which I don't have one of those. I'm not gonna pretend to know. I don't have one of those.
Yeah.
So that's something that is kind of getting into the weeds a little bit as far as what
I
accounts to
think
use.
our clientele is gonna be parents, grandparents. I don't think necessarily kids are gonna be like
Yeah,
Right,
TikTok on the pumpkin and whatever.
Right.
All that might not be a cool idea, but
right.
yeah, so I think the Facebook is where we're gonna really get our base back.
As far as putting it out to the kids, I don't know, in maybe May, when they go home, if we bring a box of sunflower seeds down to the school. And they take them home and there's maybe a little card or flyer
Yeah.
with them.
And link to what we're doing and, yeah.
Right,
Right.
tag us in your photos. Here's the instructions. There's more details on, the website. If the
we can use
parents,
a hashtag too on Facebook that would gather them all together.
yeah,
Right.
consolidate stuff. So we can advertise it digitally for people who are on Facebook or on the website, following Town of Pompey. But if we do want to kind of do a first push, at least the first year, so that everyone in the town hears about it, maybe bringing stuff down to the school, it would be open
If
for that.
we did Earth Day in April,
Right, I was gonna say everything
but then it depends on, whatever.
Yeah.
Then I think getting into elementary school and saying, hey, whatever, I forgot how many kids there are and, connect with the principal and say, hey, can we do a handout?
Right.
Whatever. And-
For all the seeds I order, like a 1 pound bag of giant sunflower seeds is like $10 and there's 20,000 seeds in it, so it's.
Yeah,
Yeah, biggest hassle is gonna be just individualizing packets and information and getting, that's.
Yeah.
Right.
right. Well, you could like get a little quarter cup scoop and scoop them in a baggie and then put a little
Staple.
print out of it,
With the bag and.
Yes,
to get in, make you print some things.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
so,
Kids.
right.
Yeah, it's only like 6 or 700. It's K to 12, so probably like
So if we
50 per class.
And we can see, even ask teachers or figure out if there's 1 or 2 grades that obviously that would be more attuned to it. Is it 4th and 5th graders? Is it,
Yeah.
'cause I don't think K through 2nd grade would really catch on,
Right, right.
You get
Their parents will be doing it.
Yeah.
Right. Then home gardening work.
In the kindergarten curriculum is plant growth and
Is it?
that process.
I'm glad to hear it's in there.
But it's in there.
Yeah,
It's in there. I couldn't, I really, so. But,
that's cool.
Yeah.
It's in there.
Parents are constantly, geez, I thought I had the summer off.
I know, right? Hard every day.
Possibility. Those are great ideas. I love it. I love it. It's
Yeah.
great to get the community involved and.
Yeah. Maybe for the next meeting, depending on what else comes up. I don't know of anything right now, but, we can take a look at what's, other things that anybody wants to get involved in, but maybe it'd be worthwhile to focus on that for now,
Right.
rather than trying to do too many
Multiple
things.
things really
Right.
are energy into.
Kind of like do a little outline or strategy. So like the sunflowers, like you had some great ideas, like going to school, the time frame of doing it.
Mhm.
Pumpkins, it would be the kind of the same time frame, I
Right.
think, as it would be the pumpkins, but.
The tree size one, that could be anytime, because you're just measuring trunk size. So that could be
Right.
The summer, yeah.
summer or winter, like that could be,
It might be hard
Anytime.
for some people to distinguish what kind of tree it was in the winter.
well, if you're just doing tree size. you're
Well,
just
that's true,
measuring
yeah.
the trunk. The species thing could be, that's a little more technical, obviously, but.
You need
Yeah.
somebody from the. There.
Right. Doing all these false identifications everywhere.
Technology there, so.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Sorry, you lose. It's like, oh, you know.
You would have wanted to make, right?
Yeah, so maybe we'll just stick with size. That's a little
Yeah.
more flex.
But yeah. So maybe that's an idea then, is we, like, for the next meeting, come up with some ideas, maybe. We don't necessarily do something every month, but come up with some ideas and see how it fits into the calendar. If we do something every other month or whatever, it's,
Or even once a season, a spring, summer,
Right,
fall,
there you go.
winter.
yeah,
Do some sort of action,
Right.
get the kids outside and doing something.
right.
Winter could be themed snowmen. I don't know, need to go with biggest things, but biggest
Right,
snowman or a theme, best
Yeah.
snow sculpture.
Right, or creative or something, or,
Right.
yeah. Keep it simple, not too complicated, and, yeah. And, those are great ideas, yeah, I really like the idea of involving the town,
Right.
and what we do and stuff, and,
Cause even ESF, like when each class comes in every year, everyone's always asks the kids, how'd you find ESF? What made you want to go to school here? And the vast majority of them, the answer is always some form of either I grew up in a rural area or my parents had X, Y, and Z job. It's a lifestyle
Some
that
connection.
that kept them around nature growing up.
yeah.
So maybe they weren't necessarily biologists, or they didn't know that they just realized that they spent a lot of time outside and they've enjoyed that and benefited from it, and they want to do work to maintain it.
Yeah,
So just, especially in this day and age, getting kids outside, it doesn't necessarily have to be educating them on environmental preservation, but just participate in the outdoor world.
right.
For that.
It does,
Makes it important to them.
Yeah.
As an adult.
Yeah, absolutely, that's a good point. Okay, well, good, I think those are some great ideas, really good ideas. Okay, well, that sounds like we got something to do for next month, come up with some ideas and. We can, whether we want to email things back and forth first, or probably just come to the meeting and kind of hash things out and see kind of.
Sure.
Where we want to go, I think that's good. And if there are other things, again, there's a lot of stuff in the charter, I'm gonna call it the charter and the master plan. If there's other things that pique your interest, it's fine too. But I think this is a great start because it kind of hits a lot of them as far as like the webpage, community involvement, communication, Earth Day, kind of,
Right.
It ties really a lot of it together. Yeah. That's good. Okay. Yeah, that's really all I have for the agenda. Like I said, we weren't asked to do anything this month, so I didn't have anything official that we had to do, but which is good because we're on a quorum.
Right.
But this has been really good. Good. And anything else anybody wants to bring up or thoughts, ideas?
I guess I would be interested, and I don't know a great way to do this, or an efficient way to do this. To try to hear or gather from the town in general what they would want from our group. Obviously, we're brainstorming, we're, 8 people that are coming up with ideas of, what we should present to them. But is there some type of consensus on a certain topic or certain situation where maybe the residents don't even know they're part of a larger group of like, we've always really wondered about, I'm speaking generically here, but
Right.
what do they feel they want or need from an environmental perspective?
Right.
Now,
Right.
not saying their ideas might necessarily be within our wheelhouse of being able to address.
How can we help? How can we support
Yeah.
Right.
people in the town with different ideas are different, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm just kind of thinking out loud here. I mean, you could almost have quote unquote a suggestion box.
Right.
Kind of opens up a lot, though sometimes you get more than you ask for.
Right.
Those suggestion boxes. But maybe it could be like a limited survey. Like send out a survey electronically on the website or something, someone that's right through there. Some tech person would know better than I would.
It was free survey, so
Yeah,
software,
like-
Survey Monkey.
Survey monkey or something, right? Do a survey and then, put it out there for a week or two and again, let people know that it's out there and say, what's your prime environmental concern, or what would you see like the town to do from an environmental standpoint?
Right.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I mean, even like Google Forms,
Right.
we made a document. The link could be on our page.
Yep.
And if anybody ever had a question or a topic, and an email would come in saying, so-and-so just asked about,
Right,
X, Y,
right,
and
right.
Z. So again, it makes the website a little more, takes it away from like library status of, look at all these links I can read about,
Right,
you know?
right.
So it makes them feel like they're talking to their neighbors or peers and, versus, like I said, books off the shelf and studying things.
I think you can help guide them too with questions rather than, because they may not know really what
Right.
they want.
Right,
Right.
right,
So you can kind of guide them with what the questions are.
Yeah.
right.
On the focus a little bit more, or maybe stuff that's in our wheelhouse and.
Right.
Exactly, right. So it doesn't get too tangential.
Yeah, and we can always have a statement on there and fall back on even in conversations of, we have our limitations on what we can address. We would love to hear your concerns, but just be prepared that sometimes the answer might be, we don't know, or we can't help you, with that. We'll do our
Right.
best, but we're
Yeah.
not promising the
You
world.
did call it suggestion box.
Right.
I have to do that.
Yeah,
Right, yeah.
yeah, very true.
Exactly.
Thank you for your suggestion.
Yeah, yeah. That's another great idea. That's another great idea. I like that.
And all that, obviously the Google, all that stuff is free. So it's
Yeah,
again,
yeah.
not incurring.
It's just a matter of
costs or-
developing it or whatever, yeah. Now, if we came up with like an outline, is that something you can turn into Google Forms?
It's pretty easy.
Is it? Okay. Yeah, all right, I think those are two great things. The ideas, well, they're all really linked together. Everything's linked together.
Which, I mean, I guess that should be the goal for any group, is that what they're working on is kind of the whole package.
Right,
Not
right,
like,
yeah,
we got this thing over here and then make a big jump, we gotta do this thing over there,
yeah.
especially when you're working with, a whole town, the more
Yeah, these are all.
tightly wrapped,
Right, right.
Good.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think how to, so between now and the next time. I guess we'll think about different ideas, like I like your idea seasonal.
Yeah.
For the contest or whatever, getting the town involved, looking at the website. We can all look at that and some, even kind of outline some TV milestones, but with, so that doesn't come to be February and be like, oh, shoot, the biggest snowman.
I know.
contest is over.
Right.
Now it's gonna be 60 degrees tomorrow.
Yeah, bit of a calendar.
So we have to, make sure we get the communication. So that's the one thing. And then the second thing was maybe take a look at how we engage the town, like via survey or something. I like the idea of survey versus just a open-ended suggestion. Right, like you say, having questions, kind of almost like an Earth Day. You like the idea of trees? Is there something else that you would like that, we pick up metal, scrap metal, we pick up tires, we shred papers. Is there something else that we can do? Maybe it's electronic recycling. I don't know,
Use motor oils or paints or.
Right.
And you can add responses in, like you can add, if it's paper shredding and they can select from whatever you guys put in there.
So then we can kind of guide you. a little bit versus-
Right. And you can leave open-ended questions also.
Yeah, like you can
Okay.
list 5 things and say anything else that's not on the list, and then they can type in,
Okay, yeah.
stuff that you can think of.
Yeah. All right,
I think a big one is electronics recycling.
yeah, definitely. Everybody's.
I have 3 towers at my house. that
Yeah. You just don't know what to do with that stuff.
I have all these garments.
Oh.
I don't need them anymore. I got a smartphone.
Right.
Got a card in the mail. I'll start these doing something. Recycling and stuff. What's the date? September up
Yeah.
in Cicero
Yeah,
Clay,
yeah.
something up that way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
The last one I went to, the line was out the driveway.
Well, that's the thing. Usually you have to register in advance and, who knows what you can do in 3 months from now.
Right.
So it's,
Yeah.
but,
I think,
but if it was the same day as Earth Day, that would be like our Earth Day, that would be great.
yeah. And I know there's a lot of third-party services where you can hire like these containers and everyone throws their electronics in.
Oh,
And
yeah.
there's a flat fee for the bin or the, I'm not gonna say a dumpster because they're not that big, but like
Yeah.
the size of this table. It's a flat rate, people throw their stuff in and then they come and take it,
Take it away.
take it away. So you're not like, oh, you have a monitor and you
Right.
have a watch and you have a cell phone. It's like. Throw it in.
All goes in
and they'll
and
take
that's
care of it.
one price fits all.
Right.
Yeah.
But as far as organizing stuff for the website, I think if everyone this month came up with even just one or two ideas of what they think should be on the website, then maybe next month we can just kind of box them into informational, town engagement, events, just kind of put them in a couple parent categories. Just so we can start to nail down a little bit of what structure we would want to see
Right.
on the website.
Right. Well, this is a good time because when it's August, so this will give us a few months to build something before. There's, and at most maybe we could do the snowman or whatever it is.
That'd be the soonest,
The soonest
probably.
one, right, in the winter, and then, but that'll give us time to flush things out a little bit. So by next spring, we can do the pumpkin, giveaway, do the pump or the sunflower giveaway. Yeah, to give us time to get things figured out how to do it.
Right.
So, okay. What I'll do is I can do minutes.
Yeah, you did. Take a picture, email it.
I can do this up a little bit. The minute we send them out to the group, and see if they have any comments first before we publish them. Because I think we publish them on the website too, right?
Yeah.
So I, just to make sure I captured everything, and definitely add to it, because doesn't look, I probably, from what it depends on my memory when I wrote down. Well, I know my memory isn't so great. I didn't do a great job writing it down. So yeah, add to it, or elaborate on based on what we talked about and stuff, and then that'll give us a good starting point for next month to build on.
And when you guys are ready, like with your content and stuff, and you figure out exactly what you want up there.
Yeah.
Let me know. We can work together to figure out how to build it into what's there.
Right, and how to get that to, whether it's links or files or,
Yeah.
Dropbox type
Yep,
stuff.
yep.
Whatever is easiest. So it's a quick transfer for you too.
Yeah.
For stuff that involves communication, whether it is like a Google Forms or another type of Survey Monkey, do you want that stuff running through you and you give it to the chair? Do you want it directly to one of the chair's email addresses?
You mean when the responses come in?
Right,
I would say it should go to you guys.
okay,
Yeah. So one of your emails, or you may be able to put multiple emails on there. I don't,
or maybe we make a new email address that just
Yeah.
receives stuff
right.
Right,
from this website.
Right, then maybe everybody's on or something, I don't know.
Yeah.
Or, I don't know, or maybe just you if you're the keeper of the.
And then you can send whatever we need to,
Yeah,
Right, because I think stuff that
If you're
happens,
talking about when people submit their survey,
right,
where does it go?
right.
Yeah,
Or if they have if there's another form for submitting just a flat out question, like.
Yeah.
I think
Contact
I-
form.
Yeah, like I think I have, beach bark disease, like what am I supposed to do with
Yeah.
this? I didn't know if there was rules if it had to go through
if you're creating a new
Nikki or,
ECC account that is at townofpompey.org,
yeah,
then you need to run that through Renee because there's a fee associated with that.
okay,
If you're just gonna create a Gmail account for that,
right,
because maybe you could just do it that way because it's not really
that'd be the easiest.
an
way to do it.
official.
yeah.
I would ask Renee what she wants to do.
I definitely, yeah, we can ask her, you can ask her, but I definitely think. Because we're not dealing with like legal voting
Yeah.
matters like that, I don't think it,
Respecting people's.
Public
Yes,
responses.
yeah, right.
Right.
So if we had a, Town of Pompey, ECC, some sort of whatever Gmail account.
Yeah.
And just hook those to that, and then if, I'm not saying you are, I'm throwing the bus here, but if you're in charge of that,
right,
then you could kind of summarize whatever and then send to everyone else, say, this is what I've seen, this is what we need to address. Do this, we can do that, right?
that might be easy having a 1 point person versus 8 people or 9 people getting.
who saw it, who responded already, who
Right.
didn't.
Yeah, yeah,
And the biggest thing is that with groups that do have any type of turnover with people or anything, it is important to have the structure be an independent structure.
Right,
So
right.
someone else can get, in the future,
Right.
the password and the username and
Right.
it still functions. It's not like,
For-
well, I did everything through my bank account. And now I'm, like, so we can keep things
Right, like.
pass offable.
Yeah, yeah, it might be like, it might be like ECCsurvey@gmail.com or something, and you just happen to be the owner of that.
Right.
Somebody else 10 years from now picks it up, then. That's what you do.
We'll see. I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow.
Right, yeah, no, that's a good idea, yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. Okay. All right, any other ideas? Got a lot of good ideas here tonight. Good. Well, that's really all I had, and thank you all for participating in all the great ideas, and that's great. Our next meeting, September 15th at 7 p.m. here.
Got it.
And so I think, not knowing what else will be asked to look at from the town, but we'll definitely go over these items. I'll put out the meeting minutes again to you all. Take a look at them, edit them as needed, and then we'll publish them, and then we'll work on it based on those.
All right, it's on the calendar.
Great. Thanks, everyone.
15th.
September 15th. Yep.
Very good.
All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Brian. You.
Yeah.